Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. I am sorry for being late. It was totally my fault. And I'm showing up, late for class, coffee in hand. You ever been that person? Mm. Well, that's me today. Anyway, I'm really glad that you could make it. None your business. Good morning. Good morning to you. I like to do some warm ups. I think I probably better do some warm ups today. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll use this slightly wider brush. Creatures Cave, good morning. Uh, if you are a member of tattoos.social, you can find the link to join Drawing for Tattooers in the calendar section of tattoos.social. So that's where the link is located nowadays. Hopefully you can see. Oh my god. Sorry. You know what? I actually had to tattoo some ellipses last night. Just, you know what I mean? It was like a coffee cup. Anyway, I think they turned out all right. They were very difficult. It could be very challenging uh, to be consistent in your tattoo practice, right? All of the considerations, the machine speed, the depth. Let's see. We get a message. Is this a good message? Yeah, please. All good now. Awesome. Thanks. I always appreciate when people chime in. They let me know where they're at, where they're watching from. I'm like too uptight this morning. Here we go. I'm just gonna make a mess. I don't care. I really don't. um, Again, just movement. All right. So I think you could definitely make a case I'm not necessarily trying to do these perfectly. I am just trying to move my arm around. I also think that moving your arm around in different ways, I think that this can be again some muscle memory. It can also be it could really sort of be there for you. Oh my god, it could be there for you, and when you get in a jam someday. But yeah, I'm just you could if you like, if you really want to practice this, I think this would be totally valid. Uh, if you like, you could make yourself perhaps like a little perfect one, and the machine will do that. And if you're using this digital means, the machine will do it for you. Just make a perfect one, and then why not trace it? Why not? I might go a little wider, but again, I'm gonna do this. It probably won't be very good, but I will. Just try to use it as a template and just a fluid movement. And I might just go around the track a few times. Really try to just sort of try to stay moving. That probably was not very dramatic, but I I hope you could see what I was talking about there. What's going on here? Yeah. I always like to check the voicemails in the morning, just to make sure I'm not missing important details. All right. What a mess. So, yeah, perhaps it'll be fun just to do a few more because I do enjoy them. Anyway, you can do these any way you like. What I do like to do is make these forms. I know that this is not the way that an atom, an atomic structure, like what it really looks like, let's say, or whatever. Maybe they don't really look like anything. Maybe they can't be seen, just imagined. Oh my god, terrible. Well, okay. So interestingly enough, and out of proportion, right? This really is, I think this is a nice segue into what I was hoping to talk about today. And that's cross-hatching. Yeah, that's kind of nice, I think. I don't hate that. Cross-hatching. Which I definitely want to get into in just a minute, but I want to do a few more of these. Now I'm kind of trying to avoid 90-degree angles in this little exercise. I'm making these little atomic forms. Again, trying to, just sort of opening up my shoulder, as it were. Let's see what's going on. None of your business, watching from Arizona. That's awesome. Here, I can show it, star it. Cool. Got tiny. So, what am I talking about? Well, all right. So here is an ellipse. It seems oriented insofar as the long axis of the ellipse is in this direction, and then the short axis, right? That's going to be at 90 degrees. That's certainly the case. We've covered that many times here, and it's kind of just a matter of like, you just commit it to memory, right? Like, how does the ellipse constructed? What is it like? What are the components? Of course, it's like it's totally symmetrical. It's perfectly formally symmetrical, bilateral symmetry on both sides. You have the same. You have to have the same things. We have Jason Leeser joining us. Jason, what's up? Connecting to audio still. It's good morning, Jason. All right. So here's what I'm talking about, gang. I'm talking about, like, I'm trying to avoid, my next ellipse, and just in this exercise, just for the fun of it, trying to avoid it. Right now, so you can see that the long axis of this ellipse is perpendicular to the long axis of the other ellipse, so on and so forth, right? So instead, what I would like to do is we're going to make our initial ellipse, right? Imagining it's oriented this way along this long axis. And then instead of like at a 90-degree angle, perhaps don't make it don't make it look like a submarine sandwich. Not too pointy, you know what I mean, at the ends. Like those are, you don't want to avoid it. You don't want it to be like this. I think I want you to avoid that. If I can impart anything, it would be to try to avoid the little, sharp corners on your. It's a circle seen perspective. That's what we're talking about. So, ellipse. Anyway, now I want to draw a third one, and I want to avoid the 90-degree trap here. Right? We don't have 90 degrees there, and so I want my next one to not be at 90 degrees to either one of these other two. So this sort of orientation here, almost, it's close, but I don't, again, so if I draw a straight line through it, there isn't another 90. It's not 90 degrees, not perpendicular to any of the other ones, any of the other ellipses. So I that was what I was intending. I think it's of course it's very basic, but it's definitely it's so sloppy. I'm sorry. It's so sloppy. It's crazy to me. But there's something about doing it that I feel like it works. It works the bugs out, right? It works out the kinks. And it is a little bit, it seems like there's more grace when you're working with it. Slightly broader mark. Making this broader mark. Let's see, where is... And one more time. Can I do it? Terrible. It's terrible. But whatever. Anyway, whatever. It's some kind of a warm up. I find it to be really helpful. And these are just some of the things that I like to do before I actually do any work. If I'm drawing, tattooing, making art, making your marks. This is a physical act, and so kind of getting the blood pump, like treating it like it's something that your body does too. Again, it's an intellectual exercise. Making art and images always is, but get rid of that. But getting your body moving, getting the blood pumping and stuff, I think is really important. Hey, Jason, great to see you this morning. How are you doing? Oh, I can't hear you. Is it me? I cannot hear you, Jason. I'll let you keep working on your keep working on the audio.
Can you hear me a little better now?
Yeah, I can hear stuff. I can hear you now.
How about now? Okay, cool.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds
wonderful.
much better. Hey, how's it going, Jason?
Hey, it's going all right, man.
Good.
Touching on what you were just talking about. Sorry, I'm in the middle of making coffee and breakfast.
No, you're fine.
That's why I muted myself earlier. I'm not trying to achieve the wrath of Gabe.
You are, yeah. No, he can be.
Yeah.
Tough customer.
We had a nice little talk about background noise and staticky noise and turning on faucets when in the middle of a live stream. So
one time
just trying to avoid that discussion.
One time, it was way back when we were all on Ricardo's Tuesday program. Ricardo's third event. Miss you, homie. I haven't seen you in so long. Anyway, my coffee maker was in the background, just making coffee, just perking away, and Gabe's like, "What, is somebody smoking a bong back there?" I wasn't, but it did sound like a bong. Anyway, that's enough of that. Jason, thank you for joining me this morning. I just was doing some warm-ups and stuff.
I saw that.
Thanks. And what I wanted to talk about was this idea about crosshatching. I have let's see. I'm going to...
Yes, now. Full sentences.
Yeah, reconnecting.
There we
go. Yes, I can do it. Well, all right. So it is a photograph, or it's a photograph of a drawing I made, but the drawing is of a nude model. So let's see what YouTube has to say about this.
Make sure you blur out the naughty bits.
I didn't. No, I'm not doing it. It's a drawing. It's art. You can't stop my art.
There we go. Okay.
You can't stop my art. It's a little distorted too, so the angle and stuff, but that's not important. You know what I mean? What I want to, I believe I can like zoom in. I can always like put this on my
zoom in on the drapery in the bottom left.
I would like to, if I can. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
These drapes.
Yeah.
This drape like this. It's yeah. I mean, I think it's slightly lackluster. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say, and then probably.
Let me tell you why I like it.
Okay, thank you.
I like it because in the cross-hatching that you're using, those horizontal marks that you've created, when you zoom out, gives it that subtle look of unevenly woven fabric.
Yes. Yes,
and this is what I wanted to really like that texture.
I wanted to talk about how eye-catching and how hideous this hatching looks. It's like, okay, so maybe you could make that claim that like there's a certain amount of like it looks like fabric.
It looks like actual fabric. Mm-hmm. I really appreciate that.
What I want to point out is there is and this is something that's it's sort of it's been pointed out to me. And it's something I talked about it almost like the very first show I could think about. This relationship of like perpendicular angles. It's like when one line is bisected by another, it's going to produce some angle. There's a resultant angle, and perpendicular. We have perpendicular bisectors. Right? This is important, Jim. It's important for geometry, of course. However, the point I'm trying to make is that when you have a perpendicular angle, it's very eye-catching. In fact, people are really sensitive to 90 degrees. If you're just slightly off of 90, It's actually, kind of it bothersome to folks. Anyway,
Very displeasing.
yeah. So when you're cross hatching, about sloppy, the slop. When you're cross hatching, if you do this perpendicular thing, right? If you go to perpendicular, see how the corners, see how everybody catches your eye. It's like sharp, like catches your eye and stuff. Um, I don't really know if there's too many places, but maybe we could, there might be a few where sort of inadvertently, maybe this is still pretty much 90 degrees. I feel like, there's going to be the smoother areas, if there are any. What you would find is likely that sort of straying away from the 90-degree convention. I don't really think it was something I was going for. It was unconscious, if that makes sense. Just sort of like, just sort of I was trying not to be a scribbler. However, like, see that? Like, going across this grain going sort of one way, and then this not at a 90-degree. There's something more pleasing and more formful that, it reveals smoother fields of gray and formfulness. That's what I would like to, suggest. What do we
So
got here?
one
We got some chat.
one little piece of advice that was given to me that I found is really nice little trick that someone showed me. If you start out in your shading, if you're drawing a pencil rendering or whatever, start out following the form, horizontally first. Get
Mm-hmm.
the real width of whatever form that is, right? And go through, start out with that hatch direction first. Then you would
Mm-hmm.
go back through and you would cross that perpendicularly for your deeper, darker shadows and to create those smooth or those gradients. But by utilizing, following that form and that shape first, you're going to create a more rounded, spherical, or linear object than you otherwise would if you were to go at diagonal angles or anything like that. So I don't know if that helps or whatnot, but it seems
I think, of
to
course,
do
I
pretty
think
well for
I
me.
think that's all really helpful. What it sounds like, maybe I'm, if I'm wrong, forgive me. It sounds like you're describing like uh, cross contour, like a cross contour shading.
Yes, that.
And it's related to the hatch, right? Like, we're talking about cross hatching today.
Sorry, was I jumping
I
ahead?
made it a point to make it a point. Like, let's
Yeah.
talk about this. How does this work? Um, well, okay. So I think the thing that I want to bring in is this idea about our tattoos. Is that when we go to tattoo, the way to make saturation or to make a smooth, even field is through a cross hatching technique. I think you can do the small circles, but you know, really bringing in this idea of going a one direction and then another direction is going to give you more of a saturated coverage. I think we're all, for the most part, we're in pretty much consensus about that. But it's certainly this. It's difficult in practice. That's what we're trying to talk about, I think, too. Like, how do you stay oriented so that way you can, again, avoid. It's not dissimilar, I feel, from like a very traditional idea about, like, don't touch black shading to black shading, right? For guy, it'd be like a um, like the negative,
Pause
don't
on
touch
pause
negative
or
to
neg
negative.
on neg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
neg on neg or positive on positive, pause on pause. Uh, it's that same thing. You want to avoid it, and um, perhaps if we are describing sort of you know XY, right? So like a vertical line versus a horizontal line, they're actually kind of, they're like the same thing, which is
Right.
funny. But it's you're getting the positive on positive, the negative on negative. That's what you're sort of having. Um, but if you change the angle, there's a bit more of a your the contrast is not quite so you know like it's not so noticeable. Um, and maybe that's the whole point of you want it to be more foundational, or you want it to be more a part of this whole unit, right? We want the figure, we back up, if I can find my layer that I'm on, if we back up, I feel like we have a strong sense of the figure against the ground here. So there's an achievement as far as like I achieved like the figure separated from the ground. However,
Yes.
like I was saying, like in an application sense, I think what's lacking is a sort of sensitivity to some of those like angles, and so there's a somewhat there's slight cross contour, but it wasn't very thoughtful. That's what I'm suggesting with this drawing. This is kind of an older drawing, but for me, it's important. You go back and you look at like, well, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And a part of what I was working on and thinking with this one was, of course, like I was being considerate as slow. I rendered it slowly with a cross hatch sort of a technique, but uh, you know now that we're talking about it, it's how can we improve? What would we practice to start to get into this mindset, or what might be, yeah, hide that. What might be the thing that could really make a big difference in our hatching? And so I would like to suggest that it's kind of what we were just working on. Let me see if I can bring back my, yeah. Right. So back to the old drawing board, as it were. Um, Apologize. I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go maximize for a moment, and I'm gonna turn me off. Okay. Cool. So here's the concept. The concept would be that uh, we're trying to avoid that 90-degree angle. So if we make I should get a new layer. So if we make a line. Sorry, demonstration purposes. Just bear with me. We make this line, right? We may very well we want to cross it, right? And so we could practice doing our crossing, our hatching this way, and then again crossed, and just sort of practicing, at least getting away from the 90-degree when you want to. And likely what you're doing, again, we're thinking about concept as we're doing this. There might be a little overlap. You try to overlap your last row just a little bit. You could zoom in on it, right? Like maybe, and then maybe reducing the opacity. Like if you make, so dark, you make a track, the next track, and there's a little bit of overlap, you know, like mowing the grass, maybe, if you've ever done that before. But these are marks that are going all in a single, like they're going along a single trajectory, right? Single dimension, right? The horizontal one, for instance. And then as you crosshatch, right, you crosshatch away from it. You could potentially come in at this angle as well.
For people that might be wondering if there's another application for this, it's actually the best way to get solid coverage whenever you're painting a wall.
Ah, nice, very nice.
Yeah, you take your roller and you go in one direction,
Hmm.
either widthwise or vertically or whatever.
Hmm.
And then you go back through and you start at a bottom corner and you work your way up, moving in a parallel direction with your roller the whole time, all the way up into the far corner. Then you do it again in the opposite corner, all the way out diagonally to the other corner, and you get a much more solid coverage. Um, that's also typically the way that I'd like to do my multiple coats if I'm ever painting a room. So
No, that's not. I wanted to just point out real quick. I like kind of made an error here. I'm like trying to cross back over, and this one I went through this way. Now it's not 90 degrees here, right? You can see it's not 90 degrees there. Uh, but it's just about 90 degrees to this one. Let me see.
Hmm.
I'll do that in another color, right? To that one, right? So that's the what I'm trying to avoid here. You know what I mean? That's what. So for me, it's for me the green, the green here. This one, this would be better, right? Because now we're avoiding all the other 90 degrees. So let's like let's get rid of for a second, and now we can think about it in terms of colors, and that might also be helpful, right? So any direction could be, yeah, it could be any direction you like. But then crossing it in such a way that you're avoiding the 90 degree. But if you wanted to come and do one more, you know what I mean? If you wanted to do one more, it's like you have to avoid the 90 on this one, right? You have to avoid the 90-degree angle there, which that does. And then also with this too. So, you know, it's a little, I think I want to, it's, I think probably just about like that is just about it. Yeah. That feels good, right? It's not 90 degrees at the red. It's not 90 degrees at the blue. So this feels just about right. So if we were to, like stack these up on different layers, again, I'm practicing like kind of overlapping, but I might have like a lighter tone or something. Uh, it may not be, it might be some other color even. But yeah, if you if you miss this, if you miss that little space there, there's a bit more, something's covering you, right? That's so common, right? It's easy to miss some of those little spaces, right? But just that. I think, like I was saying, kind of being able to stop and identify, like, oh, I'm making a 90-degree angle when you don't want to, right? Make a 90-degree angle on purpose. Be intentional about it. I suppose that's what I'm suggesting. And the blue, and then yeah, I think we have. Feel like we've successfully avoided. We've cross-hatched like 3 times, but we've avoided that 90 degree, and so again, it could be. It starts to, you know what I mean? I feel like it starts to, if you had like a one color that you were trying to, let me see, if I combine all these, let's see, I'll see how I did. It's probably not great, but if I take all the color out, it's like, uh, you can see some hatch, right? You can see some hatch, but uh, um, but I think if you just continued, you know, moving on it kind of in the similar kind of way, you would end up being able to really make it as smooth, as saturated as you wanted to. And you kind of avoid having, like having to sort of, I don't know, make it up or get like, it helps with organization, I believe. So that way you can just sort of know, um, if you're seeing something lacking in one direction, you can go in that same direction, right? And sort of refill. And that might be, sort of an indicator or just a way to build up some texture, a way to build up some of just the field, right? The field of gray. So, oh, just me. Jason's here. All right. So thank you. No, I thank you. That was something that it's all right. I'm working on it. Um, and I certainly want to thank Cooper for really doing a lot of research into this. Very cool, very cool stuff. Other than that, that was really that. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Was some cross hatching stuff. Um, Jason, since I have you here,
No,
we we're
I don't
going
want
to
to.
Puerto Rico, and it's like in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Puerto Rico
Oh yeah.
convention. Really excited about it this year. I went last year. It was a fantastic time. Now I want to get better at traveling to conventions. It's something.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of work and a lot of preparation. You are particularly good at it. In fact, you have it
Been doing
down
it for
to
a little
you have it
bit.
down to a science. And so I
I
want to
like to think
pick
so.
your brain a bit about what are the must-haves? What is your approach to
Okay, so
convention planning?
if we're talking about tattoo stuff, I have a few typical general rules that I always like to follow
Okay.
before I even get to the level of traveling. Um, don't ever go to or work at a show that you cannot afford to financially take a complete loss at. That's just good business strategy. It's good financial strategy. It's something that you always want to think about. Because if you can't afford to take a total loss, it's not worth the gamble, right? Doing conventions and stuff like that is fun. It's a blast. Yeah, networking is great. Yeah, you're going to get a lot out of it. You're going to learn a lot. But if you're going to come back to past due bills, or if you're sitting on a mountain of debt, don't work at them. You need to be able to walk away from that, not making a single penny, and not have to worry about your priorities. Working at a show is it's a luxury kind of thing that we get to do. So keep that in mind throughout what I'm saying, right? Like I said, it's a blast. It's a lot of fun, but it's not a necessity. So as far as traveling, if we're talking, are we talking like supplies to bring, or are we talking like strategies? Are we talking?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, how would
so
you? I mean, I think I want to just to sort of open it up, and this will be great for content too, because we can always clip it out. But the idea will
mhm,
be like, I guess, let's pretend you're going to Puerto Rico in 2 weeks, and you want to figure out like all the things that you're gonna bring. You're gonna make your checklist of things that you're gonna bring. What are those things? And then
lots
you're gonna
of
get there.
designs.
Yeah, you're gonna get to
Well,
you're gonna
yeah.
travel. You know what I mean? And then like you're gonna consider like what your booth looks like. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
These are things like like you probably have over the years developed like a what your booth, mm, the vibe of your booth.
Yeah, very much
And
so.
so what is it that what are some of the elements that you bring to the booth with you, so that way it becomes the vibe that you like.
Okay.
And what are some, yeah, like what you've, in order to make it your own, you considered, I need this and I need that. I want this to look
Hmm.
like this. And so, so those things, that's what I'd like for you. You can just expound on it. It's recorded, so then we'll have it.
Okay. Fair
We'll
enough. Fair
have
enough.
it, and
So
we can parse through it a bit. So I want you to,
one thing
yeah, take it
I
away.
always like to do is, yeah, I typically only try to book out one appointment a day, because to me, when you're working at a convention or a show or whatever, part of the reason behind that is to attract new clients, right? Because you want to build your clientele base. You want to go through and you want to expand the number of people that know about you. And what better way is there to do that other than tattooing more people, right? Makes sense. So I always kind of look at it through that lens. And you can look at it through any number of other lenses. Some people will go through and they'll work at conventions just to win trophies and whatever. That's fine. I'm not that guy. I don't go out and try to get as many trophies as I can all over the place. To me, I just want to do good tattoos and build my clientele base. So
Your
that's
trophies are the tattoos on you.
absolutely,
You get
you know,
you get trophies for your tattoos. You get amazing tattoos, bro. You got amazing
thank you.
collection.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's only going to get better. I'm in the talks with a couple of other people about a few other really nice collectible additions to what I have. Um, but we'll see how it goes.
yeah,
We'll see.
no,
Um,
that's what I think is cool. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, and again, I think you've talked about that before. That like the external validation of a trophy is always that can be nice, but
yeah.
you're really like I remember um you tattooed Chris last year, and it was
Hmm.
just like super awesome. He picked your flash. You know what I mean? It was awesome. So that was really just a great kind of example of what you're talking about. Like you're going there for really good reason. Um, to I don't know to like celebrate tattoos. I guess. Anyway, go for it. Keep going.
So I always recommend, as far as stuff that you like design wise, I always recommend bringing a whole bunch of different original designs. Do not print out stuff you find on Pinterest and bring that with you. Do not Photoshop stuff together. People can see through that real quick. Like other artists will walk past your booth and be like, okay, well, I know where they got that design. Make sure it's original stuff. You know, original stuff is always gonna have imperfections. We can see it, but that's what makes it original. I typically don't recommend bringing designs with you that are any bigger than an index card. Okay, 3x5 index cards are great. Um, Come up with 20 different designs that are this size, and I can guarantee you'll have a busy weekend. Do a couple of that are bigger, do a couple that are smaller, have a good size range for things that you're willing to do. Do not come up with anything bigger than like a half a piece of letter paper unless you're planning on charging out the ass for it. Because that entire time that you're setting up working on that one design is time that you could probably get in two additional tattoos, right? So financially, it doesn't make sense. Unless they reach out to you in advance and they're like, hey, I want to get like a half sleeve done or whatever. And it's like, cool, that's a full day, start to finish. Here's what you're looking at for that. Cool, fine, whatever. And I'll show you how that translates into what do I pack for a show in just a few minutes because there is a direct correlation. Okay. So make sure you have a whole bunch of different designs in different sizes. The smaller the tattoo is, the more of them you will be able to execute in a day. So if you're bringing a whole bunch of silver dollar size, like half index card size designs, if all of your designs are this big, you can crank out 5 or 6 of those a day at a convention. Okay. Now, the bigger they are, you know, maybe 4 or 5 of these if they're simple. Anything bigger than this, and you're down to 3 tattoos a day until you get to a half a letter paper, and then it's like, might as well either the full day or most of the day is going to be spent on that. And I say that because a lot of people do not factor in setup time, breakdown time, time to run out and go and get a stencil made. Unless you have a stencil maker at your booth, I bring my own, so I never have to leave. Um, and it's really handy too because that way people are like, "Oh man, you got one of those stencil printers? Yo, let me. Can you run this for me real quick?" Next thing you know, you got people coming to you all over the place. You're making friends. It's a great time, right? They'll bring you a couple of cocktails later. You're set, right? Now you
No,
don't have to pay for drinks
that
that
is
night.
true. You're very well prepared, and I think that everyone does. They so people will come to you because they'll know you have and you're generous. They know you have it, and you're generous. But then, like everybody loves you, so it's kind of like, they do pay it forward. So I
Hey,
think
I'm a
it's
likable
a great way to
guy.
be. No, it's a great way to be. Like you've done a lot of work about into understanding what it is that you have an objective. I'm going to do this particular thing,
Hmm.
and so now you're thinking about how do you pack for it. What are the things you're going to bring? Uh, I'd love for you
So,
to tie that together for us.
all right. So when I'm packing for a show, um, if you do not own a portable tattoo massage table, like one of those ultralight, ultra compact ones, if you do not own one of those and you do not want to buy one, go on Amazon, buy a cheap massage table online, and have it shipped to wherever you are doing your show, wherever you are staying. This is going to save you money because you no longer have to take that with you on the plane. You can leave it there, give it to a local artist. Cool, fine. Maybe they can use it. And you're only out, what, maybe $100? So you're saving a lot of money there. So massage table, armrest, those are usually two necessities. You can get a pretty cheap travel armrest for maybe $100 from, I think True Tubes has them. And they're like tiny little guys that are ultralight, meant for traveling. Bring one of those. As far as supplies go, it kind of depends upon the size and the style of tattoos that you're doing. If you're doing half index card size stuff, you're going to want to bring enough supplies to do 5 of these a day, right? Because you don't want to end up running out of stuff. Okay. So I would say maybe, well, I'd say estimate on 4 a day. 4 a day is a pack schedule. Um, and that's for something this small. Okay. That's 2.5 by 3. Um, the bigger the size of the designs you bring, the less supplies you will need to pack. Because that time that you're spending working on something that's the size of a softball, it's time that you're not doing another tiny tattoo. So it makes no sense to pack enough supplies to do 15 softball sized tattoos. Makes no sense, right? So when I go, I bring enough designs, and I typically bring 5 to 6 of each configuration that I like to use, right? 5 to 6 3 liners, 5 to 6 5 liners, 5 or 6 7 or 9 liners, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Grab a handful of mags, bring those with you. Worst case scenario, if you end up doing more than that, talk to your booth buddy. Maybe they can kick one over to you. Unless you're using cartridges and they're not, or if they're using cartridges and you're not, then you can go and ask around. But if you help people out and you're typically generous, people are willing to help. You know, um, as far as colors go, there's two different methodologies and mindsets here. There's I'm going to do black and gray only, right? Very easy to do. Makes traveling a lot more simple, right? Because you've got a liner black which you can thin out, and you've got like a tribal black for like solid black areas,
That's
black
what I'm thinking.
option.
That's my plan this time. Just black.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna bring black. I really like. I'm really vibing with what you're saying. Like like just make. I'm gonna make like just little tiny bangers.
Yeah,
I'd rather, and just sort of having been there before, I'm almost thinking, it's like just total approach, just total reapproach to the whole, to that audience,
right, right.
to that audience, like to the audience of, there, just have a real friendly approach to it, and just try to be accessible.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then, so that's kind of the way, like and that's it. I'll just bring what I need. And I like this idea of like sending stuff over there. Is this something, like, uh,
Is this something I can buy on Amazon and have delivered to where
yeah,
I'm
I think like a
staying so
nice
I don't
box
have
of
to
the
take it with me?
supplies, you know what I mean? Your disposables. It's like, could you just send that box to where you're going? Those are
Well, I
always.
mean, buy some new stuff that's cheap on Amazon and just have
Mhm,
it delivered. You don't even have to
mhm.
ship it out yourself. You don't have to pay for shipping. If you have
Mm,
Amazon Prime, Buy it on Amazon, have it delivered there automatically.
I'll deliver it right to
Yeah,
the
they'll
venue for
deliver
you.
it. They'll send it wherever you tell them to. Okay,
Mm,
if you say, "Hey, deliver this to, um, Red Tree Gallery," uh, and you order it in enough time, they will send it to Red Tree Gallery, and it'll have your name on it, and it'll have Amazon and all this other stuff, and it will show up by the time that they deliver it. Okay. If it takes a little bit longer, you got to plan for that. So maybe order it, you know, uh, a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance and have it delivered. If you're staying at a hotel, have them drop it off at the front desk. Make sure to put your name on it, and call the hotel and let them know that you're having some stuff shipped there. This way, you avoid having to check it or pack it. Um, I like to do this whenever I travel with gloves, right? So
yeah.
I'll buy gloves on Amazon, have those delivered. I'll buy. Fortunately, the brand of black that I use, I just found out they do sell on Amazon, so I'll buy a small little 2 ounce bottle of that and have that delivered. Drape sheets, I'll have that delivered. Plastic wrap, I'll have that delivered. Anything else like that that's going to cut down on weight, I'll order that on Amazon and have that delivered.
Perfect.
This way,
Yeah.
I don't have to pack it. It takes less weight. I never have to worry about my luggage being overweight.
Hmm.
It cuts down the amount of stuff that I have to bring in half,
Hmm.
because that's usually what takes up so much space is all the disposable stuff. Oh, well, I got to bring a box of glove. No, you don't. You can grab a big Ziploc gallon freezer bag, take half a box of gloves, stuff that in there, and you're fine for the weekend.
I couldn't agree more, and I really feel there's something really true about what you're saying, and that is like just doing the type of tattoos that people enjoy. Like, so sometimes sometimes we get very popular, right? Some people get
Mm-hmm.
really popular, and they do a particular thing, and they do it. You have to do it all the time, and that's cool. That's really cool. But I think sometimes we can get caught up in that idea of that's the only way to be, or that's the best thing possible. And I really like I while I was at Paradise Tattoo Gathering 2024, beautiful Jiminy Peak, I got to sit in on Andre Malcolm's seminar, and he said specifically, he talked about doing fine line, Pinterest style tattoos as well. This was something he was finding
Mm-hmm.
he had to do. Which
Okay.
again, I only chuckle because I'm commiserating. Like, certainly, there are things that are, it's not exactly what you're known for, or not exactly you may not be comfortable all
Mm-hmm.
the time. Especially you do huge bodysuits all day, and now you have to try to do a fine line.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine you'd be so good at it, right? They're different things, and so it can
Very
be
much
very.
so.
I think it's very interesting to see how do you mediate that? How do you navigate, like, you're big time artist, and now you got to do the thing that everybody else has to do. Anyway,
So,
not the point, but I
well,
do feel like
I do
there's
have
a.
a comment on that.
Okay, go
I
for it. I
do.
want
I
to hear
do.
it. I want to hear it.
So, yes, we may get requests to do stuff like that.
Mm,
To me, the way that I view, like, once again, looking at it through the lens of going to work at a tattoo convention, one thing I like to try to do is only bring like original designs and stuff like that I've drawn. And it's because I know it's all going to be stuff that I want to do. So
mm-hmm,
to me, it doesn't matter how big it is. If it's
mm-hmm.
something I want to do, I'm going to bring it with me, right? I will still get requests for tiny little Pinterest flowers and stuff like that.
Right.
Sure, we can sit down, we can draw that up. I'll make that money right now, not a problem. Airdrop me the picture. Oh, you don't have airdrop? Hold up your phone. Let me take a picture of it with mine, right?
Certainly. No,
And
certainly
then
all
I'll
kinds of
go through and do
strategies.
that too.
All kinds of
But if I
strategies.
have the option to,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to steer people more in that direction of the
I think
stuff
that's
that
yeah, that's
I
real that's
really
really
want
good
to do.
advice as well. Certainly working next to Devin Cooley all weekend
Yeah,
last
that,
year, and
yeah.
Steve Butcher, right? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like Steve Butcher's right here, Devin Cooley's over here, Phibbs is over here. It's like this amazing lineup of, even Sean Anderson is over there too. It is just amazing lineup of incredible artists, and so yeah, it's just like they're doing these really big things. They,
Yeah.
they probably brought their clients with them. You know what I mean?
Well, if I was Steve
Whatever. I
Butcher's
mean, it
client, I
doesn't
would hope
matter. It's
so,
just
but
like it's like we all have our role, I suppose, or we can
hmm
find where we fit. And these are sorts of questions that I think are, uh, again, it can be this can be really character building, right?
right.
So when you are like later on down the road, when you're doing bigger bodysuits, you do have this reservoir of experience that is, in doing the work of the people, right? The work of the people, doing the
Right.
people's work. So that way you're able to do it for them. When times inevitably change,
Yeah.
you're still able to sort of roll with those punches because it really is a, um, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
I think
every
that's true.
tattoo that you do, it doesn't matter if it's a Pinterest flower or a big ass bodysuit.
Yeah.
Every tattoo that you do is your opportunity to practice your fundamentals. You
Fair.
know,
No, fair
that
enough.
was
Yeah.
drilled into
And
my
do an
head.
excellent job. I mean, do an excellent job. That's
Yeah.
really what I'm on, and so I'm less interested. That's the money I will let go when it is
Yeah.
such a like I gotta have it now. I don't really care how crappy it looks and
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
I'm
not
sort
for
of
me.
like a nah, never mind.
That's not for me.
You know what I mean, fucker? Fuck off. I never fucking mind. Like, let's take it serious. It's a small one. It's actually more difficult than a
Yeah.
big one in many respects. So
Every
let's just
flaw
take our
shows
time
in
and
small
do a good job on
tattoos.
this little tiny. Let's make sure this was as we do our due diligence, as it were. And
Absolutely.
you can overthink and you can overwork and all that stuff is true, but like it's somehow like focusing all of your power on this one little thing so you can just make the right moves
Right.
that again that you've developed through the course of your studies and through the course of your practices and what have you. So you can do that thing. It's so basic, but but that's truly what if you are a practitioner, you understand it's the very simple, minimal things that can be the most challenging, take the most technique, take the most understanding in order to achieve.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't make sense to folks. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
And
it's muscle
this
memory.
is the parody we always see, like like a some sort of a armband or something, like a just do a very perfectly level, consistent ring around my body somewhere, and it's fine. It's easy, right? Shouldn't take too long. We all know that's not true. It's there may be some that have got it down. They can do it very effectively and very efficiently. Great, but for it doesn't always apply, you know,
Right.
to all the things that we end up doing, in a you know, daily tattooing, uh, work. So, um, I guess it's just like this is what's interesting to me is like being really invested in your own artwork and doing it
hmm
and making sure that people are getting your original stuff. But then
Yeah.
also there's a whole side of our biz, the stuff that the people really want. And so it's interesting. How do you
Yeah.
stay connected to that stuff? You know what I mean? Stay connected to really be pursuing what you want, but still stay connected to this,
So,
really the work
oh,
of the
try
people.
to. One way you can do that is you can advertise the designs that you really want to do by putting those on a vertical backdrop at your booth, right? You can figure out a way to get like a little black backdrop. I like to use mat board whenever I travel, and I find a way to
Mm,
like clamp that down to the table. I'll just grab some black mat board, cut it to size, and I'll tape that up to the back of the table, and it acts like a backdrop.
hmm
And then that way it's putting stuff at more eye level. This way people don't have to look all the way down because I've noticed that when I'm going through and I'm walking around at different conventions, at different shows, I'm not trying to look down at the table unless I have to. But so if something's right there and it's right in my face, I'm going to look at that automatically, you
Yeah,
know, as I'm
totally.
walking around. So it's more of a psychological thing. Um, Try to, if even if you want to do it in all black and gray, print it out in a single color, right? Maybe it's just a red sketch or a blue sketch or a green sketch or a purple sketch or maybe like a golden yellow or an orange sketch. Create colors that are going to catch people's eye. This way, it's going to be like, oh man, I don't know what these are from a distance, but let me walk over there and take a look at these because that looks pretty cool. And that color is really jumping off that black background. So now I got to go and find out what that is, right?
I saw somebody that really used that effectively last year specifically. I don't remember this artist's name, but all of his work was like black and gray and orange. Like he had this accent of orange. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was like awesome, man. It was like that work. His work was amazing. And
Hmm.
so but again, it was so eye catching and so graphic because of all of the that color pop. Um,
Hmm.
Very effective. So it was really nice. I'm not usually like a mixed media person, but sometimes like sometimes you have to you really you gotta shout
Right.
when
Right.
it's got so much going on for it.
But it catches your eye, right?
Yeah,
So,
no,
and that's
I think
ideally
that's
what you
really
want to
well put.
do. Even if your client, the random walk up that you get at a convention only wants you to do a black and gray monochromatic version of whatever design you have out,
Hmm.
if they see that design because you printed it out in color, they're more likely to get it done by you because it catches their eye.
Yeah, no, I think that's
So
that.
keep that in
I
mind.
on that note, I found that I have like an old school portfolio, just a flip book, but the plastic sleeves are so shiny, it actually makes it unviewable
Yeah,
on the convention floor. It's not an effective way to go. Probably better would be like either papers, right? Or if you're trying to display work, your own, like images of your work, some a digital, like a magic
you can
picture
do
frame,
that.
like a magic picture frame or a tablet. In fact, a tablet where people could interact with it would be very familiar. People would be able
So
to
what
view that,
I've
and
I mean, having a tablet's ideally the way to go. If you don't feel like investing in that technology, one way that you can do is you can go through a company called Mixbook, and they will actually print you out a photo album book. You can customize the cover, you can add little, names and dates and all that stuff. Um, it's pretty awesome. You can go through and you can make it as many pages as you want. You can make it, I stick to 8.5 by 11 because it makes no sense to go through and, do like a 13 by 19 flip book of all the tattoos that I've done. No, I'm trying to maximize my table space. So I'll bring that and maybe I'll set that up if someone, or I'll have that upon request. If you want to see my tattoos that I've done over, I don't know how many years. Some of it's really, really old, so I try to like push past that, or like glue those pages to the front cover. That way, no one can actually see them. Um, it's like cool. You want to see my portfolio? Cool. Here, take a look. But if I'm gonna do that, I'll have like a little card on the table that says, "Please ask for portfolio."
yeah, yep,
Or what I can do is I'll print out a QR code and it's like, oh, you want to see some of my more recent work? Here's the Instagram QR code for my Instagram page. Scan this. Just hold up your phone, open up your camera app, scan this, and it'll take you right to my page.
yep.
Right?
No, I love that. I really love that. I think that's got to be one of the better ways to go about it.
Yeah.
Some other presentation that like what good do the books do if people can't really like come up and look at it? It doesn't it
Right.
doesn't work. So some other solution um, that's going to be
Well, and that's
again
why I
there's a
went
lot
with
of options.
Mixbook.
What's that?
Mixbook was great because when I came across that and I got that piece of advice from someone else, um, it's actually a hardbound hardcover book
Mm.
with matte pages. So it's
Ah,
not going to get that
yes, yeah, an
reflection.
actual printed book.
Right.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Correct.
And
So
I've
it
I've seen people like
works really well.
yeah, the last few years I've seen some really nice ones
Hmm.
that are they're very well produced and they look great. Um, I've had and I've had the privilege of having a book or two made about my artwork, and it really is they're amazing. Just amazing,
Yeah.
like amazing, like little prideful thing. Like here's it's my book. So yeah, that's not a bad idea to have a couple of those. You know what I mean? At
Yeah.
certain points of your life, these are my work at this point. Here's
Yeah.
I think that's actually really that's really pretty nice. So
But in the past, like I want to say 7 or 8 years, I've really have noticed a lot of people, they don't even really care to look at a portfolio. If they're looking to get a specific type of design done, they'll just come straight up to the booth and they don't care who you are. They don't care how long you've been doing it or what your work looks like. They're like, "Can you do this?"
yeah,
And they'll hold up their phone and it's either yes or no. Cool. Um, so there's, in my opinion, a lot less demand for having any kind of like a printed portfolio out. That's why I just started going with the QR code. It's like, cool, if you want to see the work that I'm doing, scan this and you can go right there. And it's
hmm
recent, right? Because you should be posting semi frequently. So you've got recent work up there.
sure,
So that way, if people really want to see the chronological order of the work that you're doing, they can scroll all the way to the bottom. But that's on them. You're providing the information. Whether or not they choose to look at it is on them now.
yeah,
Um, so
totally,
it's taking one more thing and saying, hey, here it is. If you want it, that's on you. Um, and then that way I tend to open up more table space. I'm a big table space hog. Whenever I work at shows, I can fully admit that. My stuff tends to spread everywhere. Um, but the reason why I tend to be that way is because I also display prints that I plan on selling at the show. So for me to have more table space available, I need to have that extra table space so that way I can display all of the designs I want to do, the QR code, and the prints that I have for sale, right? Typically speaking, if I'm working in a standard half booth at a show, that space is completely taken up by just that amount of stuff.
hmm hmm
So if I have the option to like expand a little more, I will. But usually that's all I have room for is like one or two prints, maybe three if I'm pushing it and I get a cool person next to me that lets me expand a little bit into their area. One or two prints, maybe three, and then a backdrop with a whole bunch of designs and a room for business cards at the bottom. I'm a big business card guy. I still give
mm,
out physical business cards. Um,
me
it's
too,
just something I enjoy doing. It's
me
like a
too.
collectible item, you know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
tangible.
important. It really is
It's
important.
tangible.
Definitely, it's important, and they are, and people really love to collect them. So,
Yeah.
well, I can't tell you how excited I am for it. I put up the APT stuff. We've got uh, Sean Anderson. He's the president of the Alliance of Professional Tattooists. He's going to be in Puerto Rico this year. Dirk Morrison. He's also a member. He's also going to be there. The many members, right? Caroline Evans. She'll probably be there as well. Uh, again, it's the APT certainly likes to come to Puerto Rico show. And so last year there was a really great roundtable where they
Hmm.
were celebrating women in tattooing, like the history of women in tattooing. So they had all these incredible, like pioneers in the industry. And it was a great conversation, and I'm really looking forward to all the programming that they're going to have this year. So I can't wait. Now, Jason, you got a show coming up in about an hour or 2 hours from now at noon.
2 hours from now.
Two
Correct.
hours in 2 hours, we're going to join you for Skill Building Monday. You got anything?
Correct.
You got anything to pitch? Like, what are y'all going to be working on? What are we going to work on today?
Um, Today I'm probably going to end up working on something I have to get together for Wednesday. I need to do some like snake filler.
Cool.
So we're going to do it's partial cover up, but we're laying it out so that it travels up the arm in different ways. But it's moving around existing tattoos that they really want to keep. And I'm like, all right. Yeah, we can keep that if you want to, and that's fine. So we're going through, and I'm trying to lay everything out. We're going to be doing a snake, some spider webs, maybe a spider, and then maybe some floral stuff in there too. But it's going to be pretty interesting.
Cool.
Um, yeah.
That's
So
very cool. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I'll definitely
it'll be
hop
fun.
on and draw along with you all. And this is this I think this Monday morning block. is a really cool. It's a really cool idea that you and I have been talking about, and that's probably just sort of like, let's have programming, work together a little bit, and just have a great morning of like stuff. So
Yeah.
if you're out there drawing, you know what I mean. You might be getting ready for your day, or you've got the day to just do. You've got to catch up on all your drawings. It's Monday, time to catch up on drawings and stuff,
Yeah.
or it's your day to actually do your own thing, the thing that you
Right.
like to do. And so we do. I think we're always talking about different techniques and different ideas, um, but I think just having it, being here for everybody is it's really I think it's really cool, kind of special in that way. Um, so yeah, maybe we need one more person for this 2 hours between. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe we need like one more thing, and we just make it like
Well,
this
maybe I'll just
6 hour streamathon every Monday morning. We're always, you know,
maybe I'll just bump my show up an hour or an hour and a half, and I'll just do it a little bit earlier.
we have to work it out. I think, but I
Yeah.
do believe there's something important. I'm looking at all our viewers we got out there. Thank you everybody for watching us. I can't
Thank you.
believe it. I'm shocked that you're
Yeah.
here with us. But I appreciate you so much. And so again, I like, this is fun. We should just do it. We should draw more.
Yeah.
But I think we like sometimes we talk about stuff that's important. But we draw a lot. We talk
Yeah.
about drawing and stuff, and it's really, um, so it really could be just a really productive space for people. Have it on, draw your stuff. You know what I mean? We're all commiserating about. we're all we're just here commiserating. No big whoop. Chatting, drawing, sketching. Being here, showing up for each other,
Eating breakfast.
eating breakfast. It might be that's fine too. What come as you are. But so what I would like to do is, of course, yeah, thank Tattoo Now.
Hmm.
Gabe at Tattoo Now. Thank you. I just put the graphic up. I'm sure there's something else I can show. How about that one? Yeah, Tattoo Now.
Hmm.
Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers. So they've got CRM, mailing list that is competitive with any of the other services out there. So if you really are having trouble with your communication, contact Gabe. He just might have a really great solution that'll help you communicate more effectively with your clients. So yeah, thank you, Gabe, for everything you do behind the scenes. Gabe was really encouraging to Jason and I to kind of, to really dig in and do this thing, because we enjoy it, and Gabe is a big part of it too. So we want to definitely thank Gabe for everything that he does.
He is
And of
the
course,
man behind the curtain.
he's behind the curtains, certainly. And reinventing the tattoo.
Yes.
So I don't know if I don't know, let me see if I have a QR code for reinventing this. How about this? We're
There you
missing the
go.
image. We're missing the image. I don't know. Well, anyway,
Hmm.
if you scan this, presumably you'll be able to get to reinventing the tattoo. Maybe do I have another QR code? I'm so disorganized, gang. I'm sorry. But anyway, reinventing the tattoo. Of course, thank you to Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind reinventing and the reinventing community. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit guyatchison.com, where you can find custom prints, machines, as well as even book a tattoo appointment. If you're feeling like getting a tattoo from Guy, you could ask him. You could just ask him if you wanted to. I got one. I'm working on one, and people are like, "How did you get that appointment?" Like, well, I asked him, and it
No.
was like, now, okay, uh, I've got a chance to chit chat with him, for a time or two. So I won't like suggest that didn't help. But again, it's like, you got to ask him if you want to get some work from him. He works more than I do. He works a lot, so I don't know,
Yeah.
that guy works a lot. So he might very well want to do a tattoo for you. So, you know, anyway, GuyAtchison.com, that's where he books. But of course, Reinventing the Tattoo is where Jason and I met all those years ago. Just a really great platform for education. Uh, it's really art centric. I mean,
Very
it's
much
an
so.
art book, right? It's a book about how to make images, how to like how to like make your images effective.
Yes.
It's really the book. It's not. I mean, it's like it has an orientation towards tattoo. It's not a how to tattoo book. It just isn't.
Right.
But instead, it really teaches you about art. And I've really reflected on this. Like for many years, I've read this book, in different ways. When I was younger, I used to just be a picture. I would look at pictures and be like, I think I got it, because I'm like looking at a picture and I'm like, I'm a visual person. I don't like to read or whatever. I used to think. And of course, you're just missing so much when you're just looking at the pictures. You got to read. You got to read the book. You have to.
If
Sorry.
you're like me and you're a little bit neurodivergent and your attention tends to get scattered real quick,
Mm,
one little trick that you can have, and I use this because my whole reinventing the tattoo book is filled with this. Um, Go out and you can get like highlighters, different colored highlighters to highlight different areas. Get little colored tabs for things that you want to go back to or remember, or color code your tabs if you're that kind of OCD and you're like, oh, the blue tabs are for this. Um, I always found that if I was going through and I was reading something and I felt my attention getting away, I would make sure I highlighted something that I knew was important. And then I would be focused on trying to find the next important thing in the text. Important for me, not necessarily in general, but I would go through and I would highlight something, at least one thing on every page.
mm.
Um, so it helped me
Well, no,
keep my attention going.
again, I think that there's a lot of strategies, and I appreciate that one for sure.
Yeah.
We want to, we want to practice the things that we're talking about, so we read it in the book, we look, make some notes, read it, look at the pictures, but then do it, right? And it's in that, that's where I feel like the learning happens, right? In the doing. You do it, and so what I've learned a lot from the reinventing book. I'm just sort of mentioning, I'm like, I'm just kind of sharing this testimony, if you will. Like, I have learned a lot from that book. In fact, it's always helped me contextualize any other art education that I've ever received. For instance, I was like, oh my God, I actually learned that in reinventing before. Like any sort of thing that like gets talked about, I'm like, oh shit, like, that's in reinventing. So it's a very comprehensive like art training sort of manual. Um, Again, it's I'm going to say art, but I'm really talking about image making like strategies that they're based in just like how people perceive stuff, and then the body too. It's really there again. There's a real strong tattoo is a part of it, but like the human body is really at the center of this book. And you're like, what kind of crazy book are you talking about? Well, you got to read it. You got to read it, and then you'll know what I mean. But I think if you're really invested in like trying to make images and stuff, it couldn't be a better investment for any artist. You don't have to be into tattoos. You can use that. It basically is the same as uh, it has the same timeless content as many other sort of really in depth sort of curriculums. So I've found it to be something I've enjoyed. I enjoy the guys' work, so it's full of that stuff. And and what's also really nice is that there's a little bit of a group that there's a group vibe, the people that are studying it. So you basically have a cohort of others who are like-minded, or also kind of find some resonance with these sorts of images. Um, and so anyway, yeah, thanks to Guy, thanks to Gabe, thanks to the rest of the reinventing crew. Sandy McAndrew, of course, she runs the weekly drawing group. Very cool. Definitely want to say, shout out to the Fireside Gang. It's I actually really enjoy um, all of the cross sort of pollination, if you like, all these different the network of different tattoo like interest, right? Like tattoo centric interest based sort of groups. I don't know how to say it, but I mean, but
Yeah.
otherwise, we're really talking about lots of different components: business, image making practices, and really ultimately ethics um, people wouldn't want this to be the case, but of course, like the personal is political, right? So a part of it is like, you know, we wear our politics. Just do. Can't help it. Sorry if you don't like that. It is the truth. So um, it's part of it. It's part of it. All art is that way. It's ideological. And so, um,
Correct.
but we should think of, again, you should enjoy it. The stuff you enjoy it, and then figure out, like think about it a little bit. Why do you enjoy it? It's nice to know that. It's nice to pursue that stuff, even if if you may not ever find it, but still, like you'll learn a lot. I think you'll learn a lot. So anyway, I want to sign off here, Jason. I'll be back at noon Eastern Standard Time for Skill
Sounds
Building
great.
Monday. For Skill Building Monday. So everybody, thank you for joining us
Thank you for
for
having
episode
me on.
113 of Drawing for Tattooers. Can't believe it.
I
But
know,
we'll be
right?
back again next Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern for Drawing for Tattooers. Happy drawing, everyone.